Paper Mario is one of those weird series where fans are super divided on what they want. You've got one group of people that really want a great classic Paper Mario game like you get in the good old days. You know, partners, badges, experience points, great game design. And then you've got another group of literally no one that prefers everything Sticker Star and Color Splash had to offer. Oh yeah, and then there's that one group of people that loved and want the classic games to return, but also like Super Paper Mario for what it was. Yeah, that's me. So let's see which group of people Nintendo decided to try and sell a product to this time. Ah, who am I kidding? You've already seen the trailers. The Origami King starts out with Luigi driving Mario to Peach's castle. His car literally has multiple seats. It's like it was lined up for a Double Dash sequel. Please, Nintendo, just give me what I want. Once they get to Peach's castle, Luigi leaves the party because Nintendo hates us, and then everything takes off from there. We walk into the castle and are greeted by a not-so-flat Peach. Wait, was that sentence too erotic? We're then sent to the dungeon where we see a horrifying scene of Bowser's minions getting turned into origami. Can I just say that I really like the theme here? It's still funny and charming, but it's totally messed up, and if I was a kid, this would scare the crap out of me. We then end up rescuing our new partner, Olivia, as well as a folded Bowser, and make our way to King Ollie. He wants to crumple our world, we don't want to get crumpled. Simple as that, let's go. Honestly, it's a great plot build-up. You find out that you have to go to 6 different worlds to defeat Ollie's 6 streamers, which act as shackles to the world, sort of just like gates. And while going to multiple places to do said thing is kind of a generic way of moving the plot forward, it doesn't really bother me. The game looks really nice too, which shouldn't come as a surprise because Color Splash looked amazing. But I can't help but think that everything looks just a little too bland. Contrast this game's hub, Toad Town, to the Thousand Year Doors hub and you can immediately see what I'm talking about. The major attention to world building and detail just isn't quite there. It's especially noticeable when you contrast characters, since most of them are just generic Toads. You do have a lot of non-generic Toads, but it's nothing like the past games. You'll notice through this video, I'm going to be comparing elements in this game to its predecessors, which I think makes sense considering Nintendo has had years to improve upon its past games. Luckily, compared to past games, this game does not lose any sense of humor. Man, like it's actually hilarious. I was laughing out loud from the get-go. The scene where you confront King Ollie with Olivia is just great because everything is so serious, and then Bowser randomly comments on how their family is dysfunctional and it caught me completely off guard. These kinds of moments are spread out everywhere in this game, so you'll never find yourself bored with the dialogue. The music absolutely kills it too. Like listen to this boss battle theme. Everything has this bumping feel to it that just keeps the pace of the game going, which is really good because there's a few things that actively fight against the pace of the game. To start, there's the 1000 arms thing, which you can activate by stepping on a specific spot on the ground, and it lets you grab an object, smash it, pull it, break it, etc. It's not too bad or anything, it just doesn't feel very necessary or even remotely exciting. The confetti, on the other hand, is just awful. It's basically the paint from Color Splash. You get confetti by hitting trees, fighting enemies, and doing other random things, and then you can throw it into these holes to repair the world. It makes the game feel really slow if you try to fill them all in, and I just don't know why it has to be there. If you run out of confetti but want to fill a hole in, you have to run over to a tree, hit it a few times with your hammer until you get enough confetti. If you don't get enough confetti, go find another tree, and then you go and fill the hole in. It's not hard to hit a tree, it's just time consuming. It's not hard to fill in the hole, it's just time consuming. Back to a positive note though, there are toads everywhere, and I mean like literally everywhere, that you can find by smashing random objects that look out of place. At first I thought I was going to hate this, but a lot of them are really hidden in creative ways, like this one that looks like a swan. I wasn't expecting it to be a toad and it just ended up being one, and they almost always have something funny to say. The part that makes it really awesome too, is that they act as the audience during battles. The more of them you collect, the more of them appear in the audience, but, well, we'll get to the battles later. You can also find little figures scattered around the world that you can view in the museum. They don't really do anything, but completionists love this stuff. You'll be excited to know that partners do return in this game, sort of. They aren't permanent like before, but at least they're there for the story. And as far as battling with them goes, oh boy, here we go, let's get into the battle system. I'm just going to warn you right now, for those of you that are hoping that this game has a battle system that comes even remotely close to the quality of the older games, you're going to be upset. Let's get this out of the way. Battles don't reward you with experience points. They reward you with coins, which you can easily find a surplus of in the overworld. Because of this, battles don't feel necessary or even rewarding. Typically in the overworld, you will want to avoid battles, especially because multiple enemies can attack you at once, which makes you fight multiple battles back to back rather than all of the enemies in one battle. You need to go into this game with the mindset that it's about avoiding battles, not actually trying to take part of them. And honestly, it really sucks, because past games had such a good battle system. Honestly, the battles themselves, regardless of rewards, aren't even really that fun in my opinion. They bring in this ring-based system where you line enemies up before attacking them under a certain time limit. You can spend coins to increase your time limit, or spend coins to get the audience to damage the enemies before you attack. The goal is basically to line up all the enemies and kill them all in one turn. If you line up a group of enemies in a column, you can jump on all of them in a row. If you line them up 2 by 2, you can hit them all with your hammer. If you're supposed to be able to kill 2 groups of enemies, for example, the game will actually give you 2 attacks right from the get-go. So as long as you solve the initial puzzle, the game basically plays itself. On the bright side, they got rid of the card-based system, and now you've got a permanent jump and hammer option. You can equip different attacks as well, such as iron boots, which allow you to jump on spiked enemies without taking damage. These attacks do break after using them multiple times, but you can get quite a few hits out of them before they do. So while you don't want to spam them, you shouldn't be afraid of using them when it's convenient. There's also accessories, which are sort of like badges, but worse. There aren't very many, and it doesn't really feel like you're customizing Mario as much as past games. They're just sort of perks that you unlock to do little things such as add timer to the start of the battle. Partners also take part in battles, as I mentioned before, but they sort of just act on their own. There really isn't any strategy to it. Honestly, the whole thing just seems kinda gimmicky. The point is not to strategically plan ahead and use certain moves carefully or anything like that. The game just expects you to go into a battle, solve a mobile game-like puzzle, and then win the battle so that you can continue to explore the area. I just can't understand why it's like this. Getting rid of experience points is such a bad game design choice in a game like this. Having your character grow while battling gives you a sense of accomplishment, which is really important for games that are turn-based. Like instead of fighting enemies to gain health, you literally just find health upgrades. Like I ran up to this box, I hit it, and it gave me 20 health. None of the battles that I had done up to this point had mattered at all. What truly mattered was finding this random box and hitting it. It's just out of place. Why, Nintendo? While I prefer the turn-based system of the first few games, I would have been content if they had have just removed it at this point and went back to Super Paper Mario. There are already enemies to fight you in the overworld, and with this system in place, it just feels better. I don't know, the whole thing just kinda really dampens an otherwise really charming game. The bosses are at least pretty fun. The trailer had everyone worried, since it made it seem like Office Supplies were the game's only bosses, but rest assured, they aren't. I don't want to spoil it though, so I'll just leave it at that. Overall, the game feels very Paper Mario-like. There was always something that made me laugh, and it always had a certain charm to it that you can only really find in a Paper Mario game. I just feel like if they had have listened to fans, it would have been such a better game. It's definitely a step in the right direction after the last 2 games in the series, but I don't want a step in the right direction. I want another amazing Paper Mario game.